Hello Simmers and welcome to Edinburgh in Scotland, the capital of Scotland that is. The airport scenery that you're looking at is UK 2000's Echo Golf Papa Hotel scenery for X-Plane 11, and this scenery is now placed within the ORBX True Earth Great Britain North scenery, and the Great Britain True Earth North scenery will be the main focus of the flight for today. A short introduction, what we are going to do. We are parked right now at the gate with the Rotate MD80. We will take off, and I think what I'll do, instead of making a right-hand turn on the standard instrument departure, we just make a left-hand turn, climb to approximately 3,000 feet to overfly Edinburgh to see what ORBX made of the city itself. Then we'll continue on the, I think on direct path to Perth. And then from Perth, it's all the way to the northwest to Stornoway, which is on the northwestern tip of Scotland. We're going to fly this stretch at approximately 5,000 or 6,000 feet to have a good glimpse at the scenery below us. I cleared all the weather, set the time to approximately midday. So I'll just finish the preparations and I'll be back with you guys as soon as we are ready for takeoff runway 24 here in Edinburgh. So see you in a bit. So here we are, runway 24 in Edinburgh. Let's switch on the exterior lights. This was already set. So we can just take off runway 24 and then we'll make a left-hand turn climbing to 2,500 feet, overflying the city of Edinburgh, and then on a left-hand turn direct north to Perth, and from Perth we'll fly northwest to Stornoway. 24 is verified and correct. So we're not gonna fly by the rules, we'll stay at 6,000 feet, but we're gonna break the speed limit of 250 knots below 10,000 feet to speed things up a little bit.
On runway 24.
Main objective for this video is to give you a good impression of the ORBX Great Britain North scenery. So without further ado, stabilized, auto throttle engaged. Rotate, positive rate, gear up. So vertical speed 1400 feet, that's fine. Let's set the speed to 250. Gear is up. Flaps 11, and let's make that left-hand turn now. As you can see, the ortho photo has been color matched for the various tiles, and the 3D objects have been placed with great accuracy, as we can expect from ORBX by now. Which really makes this scenery a joy to fly over. So let's see, 2,500 feet coming up. And flaps retracted. Nose gear light off. Now Edinburgh City is more over there, so let's make a left-hand turn. approximately heading 100. Now here you can see the hill with the castle, so let's make a further left turn heading about 055. There are the bridges over the Firth of Forth. I think this is rather nice. This seems to be Arthur's Seat, which is a large mountain on the edge of the medieval inner city. Edinburgh is a fantastic city, by the way. I've been there twice. Really nice to visit. Still remember the first time I was there, we walked around the corner somewhere downtown, and all of a sudden we looked straight up the hill to the castle, which was quite impressive. So let's go 5 degrees further left, 050. There's the castle on the hill. So let's turn left heading north. That should bring us over Perth. So let's pause the sim for a minute here. So this is the mountains with Arthur's Seat. Don't know if it's that or that one, but you can walk up there and you have a fantastic view over the city if the weather is cooperative, which is always the big question in Scotland, of course. Here's the Edinburgh Castle, which means that the Royal Mile is in here. So there's some sort of museum down there with the Royal Palace. This is the railway station. The railway running basically through a valley through the city. Yeah, definitely recognize a lot of stuff in here. So I think they've done a pretty good job in displaying Edinburgh. Of course, the only downside is that the roads are tilted, but that's an explained thing. You can't blame ORBX for that. So definitely not bad. Let's fly further to the left to see what the bridges over the Firth of Forth look like. There are some iconic landmarks in there. And then from that point on we'll turn right straight for Perth and we'll climb a little bit further. Because we're gonna need more altitude when we fly over the Highlands. 2,500 feet is too low. We will crash into some terrain if we stick to this altitude. Let's make that heading 270. That's basically better. So this is the iconic, I think this is the railway bridge. And this is the traffic, the road traffic bridge. I see 3. Not really sure whether that's correct. But undoubtedly it is. because ORBX is usually quite spot on with these things. So right turn heading 280. Well, I say they've done a pretty good job in making these landmarks, because these bridges are real landmark bridges. You can't miss them. This is a world famous bridge. And down there should be some kind of naval base yard thing. So let's just take a quick look at that. Yep, that's the new aircraft carrier from the Royal Navy. And some submarines. So that definitely looks like a naval facility. So I think they did a pretty good job. So let's head into the flight management computer. Set a path direct to Perth. Execute that one and switch it back to nav. Climb to 4,000 feet and increase the speed to 300 knots. Now another great thing about this ORBX scenery is the placement of trees. According to the documentation, they hand-placed roughly 168,000 trees in this scenery. And of course that's a whole lot of work, but it really pays off, because well, if you just look at how accurate the trees are placed on the ortho photos, it's really amazing. So here we are flying direct to Perth, climbing to 4,000 feet. And once we have passed Perth, we will continue to climb to 5,000 or 6,000 feet. And that should be about it. Of course, much lower than you would fly normally on a flight like this, but it gives you a much better impression of what the scenery looks like. So visibility is set to 26 miles. That is what gives the haze. What I can also do, by the way, is show you different times of day. So this is what it looks like at night. Dusky. Midday. And at sunrise. But let's stick to approximately 12 o'clock. Of course, Scotland is well known for its breathtaking landscapes. Well, so far I think ORBX did quite a good job in projecting that in this simulation. Of course, we are now flying quite rapidly. Also, what you can also see, of course, I've cleared all the weather, so there's no influence of wind or anything that has to be calculated. But still we get well, between 50 and 60 frames per second with the Rotate MD80, which is actually quite a heavy add-on. So that shows that the performance of this scenery is actually quite good. It doesn't have much of an impact. The only impact it has is on the loading times. It takes quite a long time to load, but I think it's really worth the wait if you look at what you get in return. So Perth is coming up. See what this looks like in the evening. Beautiful lighting. The radio beacon for Perth is at the airport and not in the city, so this is the city of Perth that we're now flying over, or flying past. And there's the airport, so the plane should start to make a left-hand turn any second now. That will be a left-hand turn towards the northwest. There we go. So this is Perth Airport. I think this is a lovely airport to start your Cessna or Piper Arrow for a VFR flight in this beautiful region. And we are now turning left straight towards the Highlands, so let's increase the altitude to 6,000 feet. There's not much to say, it's just an awesome scenery. I already mentioned the trees and how they were hand-placed, so I'm not going to go over that again, but if you just look at these beautiful sceneries, it must be such a beautiful country. Like I said, I've been to Edinburgh twice, but I've never been to the Highlands. I really want to go to enjoy the beautiful landscapes, take some hikes and do some landscape photography there. Definitely on the bucket list to do that. Beautiful valleys with rivers, small villages, and once we start to really explore the Highlands, you will also see some major lakes or lochs. Of course, Loch Ness being the most famous one. I'm not really sure whether we're gonna pass over that one. I don't really know where that is actually. Well, in Scotland of course, but don't know the exact position within Scotland. If you look at this forested area, it really gives you the impression to fly over a dense forest with all the trees placed here. Also, there's no trees to be seen on the paths that are shown on the ortho imagery. So well done. By the way, my graphics settings. Number of world objects is 1 dot left from the highest possibility. So I think if you set that to high or to max, it's even more breathtaking. But in order to to have good performance, I've decided to leave it where it is. Just make a screenshot here. Anyway, there's plenty of opportunity to have good fun simming in this area, of course, with the, like I mentioned, the valleys, the lakes, the lochs. There's plenty of things that can be really challenging here. If you fly with real world weather, of course, the weather in Scotland, well, it can change 6 times a day. So that's a challenge in itself. You can make some beautiful VFR flights with small GA airplane. You can take fighter jets to fly low and fast through all these valleys. There's plenty of opportunity for like well, basically bush flying, flying small passenger planes like the Twin Otter or the Saab 340 to the more remote airports within Scotland. You can fly helicopters here, fly search and rescue missions, whatever you like. I think this is an area that is suitable for all types of simmers. Whatever you do, don't forget to enjoy this beautiful landscape that's passing below you. So if you look from the top-down perspective, it's just awesome. So like I said, it's basically a straight line to the northwest to Stornoway. Well, almost a straight line. We'll fly direct to Lagaf, and when we are there we'll make a slight right turn to Rugged and then on to Stornoway. Just remember I forgot some after takeoff items. As you can see, Lagaf is already coming up, so we should be starting a right-hand turn any second now. It's been a while since I last flew the Rotate MD80, but it's actually such a nice add-on. Also well worth the money. Nice procedural sim, beautiful airplane, fun to fly, short, medium range. Absolutely amazing. Oh, here's one of those big logs that I told you about. Very long stretched lake. And all of a sudden in all this wilderness you see some windmills that looks like they're completely lost. Such a remote location. Really wonder if they are there in real life. Let's see if we can find a clue for that on the ortho imagery. They seem to be quite out of place. Don't see anything in the ortho imagery, but I'm sure someone puts them there for a reason. And another one of those very, very long stretched lakes that comes straight from the sea, judging by the looks of it. Well, almost. Looks like there's some sort of town down there. Small town. You can basically use this scenery as a reconnaissance for photo journeys towards the real Scotland, because I have already spotted some positions where I really would like to set up my camera. This must be some breathtaking shots in real life if the weather cooperates, of course. Here's another windmill farm. Now in here you can actually see the windmills also on the ortho imagery, so these are positioned spot on. Look at this awesome nature down there. I think Scotland just went up a couple of positions on the bucket list. Really, really want to go there. Looks like some sort of dam down there. Oh. I'm not really sure, could be just a bridge. There is a dam, that's the one. Must be quite funny to fly fighter jet very low, very fast over the water here, through those valleys. Start to approach the northwestern coast now. Just a few mountain ridges till we are there. Get some flashbacks to my holiday to Iceland a couple of years ago with this type of terrain. These rugged hills, no trees, just rocks. Once we are over the sea again, we will start to reduce speed, start to descend to do an approach into Stornoway. Let me just take a quick look at the approach plate for Stornoway. Because I have to set a frequency and course for the runway. Going to do an approach into runway 18, land to the south. Gives us the opportunity to make like a detour across the island, and then we'll just come into the airport. The airport is here, the VOR is down there, so we're now flying towards the VOR. But I think over the sea I will switch to heading mode, fly like a circle over the island, and then on the approach for runway 18. Basically I don't have to watch it plates for the frequency and course, I can watch in the flight management computer. If I go to the approach, 1109er at 178. 1109er. At 178, so that's already set. This empty landscape with a long road, and on the end of that road there still is one house or a farm. I always wonder who lives there, what do they do for a living, because it doesn't look like you can do much farming, maybe some cattle herding or something like that. Then there's another beautiful river running through this valley into this lake that eventually ends up in the sea. Well, it looks like we have some oil platforms down there as well, so you might do some helicopter flying to those. Usually when it's displayed in here it means that you can land on it, so there's an aircraft carrier, there's a frigate with a helipad at the rear end, and I assume this oil drilling platform will also have one, oil rig. So like I said, with helicopters you can have a lot of fun in this area as well. So we are now passing over the final mountains, straight towards the sea now. So we'll start to descend to 4,000 feet in a second. Look at these gorges as well. I mean, this looks absolutely stunning. Beautiful ortho imagery. And like I said, all the different tiles are color matched, so you don't see the difference in tiles. What you do have when you use like Ortho 4XP. Of course, Ortho 4XP is completely free. You have to pay for ORBX True Earth Great Britain North, but the big plus in my opinion is that you don't see the different tiles anymore. With Ortho 4 XP you could have like one tile at a photo that was taken in spring, the other one in winter and one another in summer. You had those in line and you would fly over, well, all different sorts of weather and seasons, and with this you fly, everything is color matched, so you don't see the patches anymore. And they've done a splendid job in placing the 3D objects within this scenery. So let's take a quick look. I think we'll go for a flaps 28 landing speed 136. So let's start to reduce speed to 270, because we have to descend in a couple of minutes. Now basically that's the island already. So we'll just fly till we are like between the frigate and the aircraft carrier, and then we'll make a left turn towards the island. And once we are over land, fly north for a circuit, final approach runway 18. That should give us quite a good impression of the island as well. Basically I can do that already, fly like heading 280. Take a look at the mountains over there and then on to the north. So that's like this mountain ridge here. Fly then north over the islands into the airport. That's what we're going to do. Let's make a gentle descent to, well, let's say 4,000 feet initially. Let's make that a 500 feet per minute descent. Well, we can make the 290. Now south of the airport almost. Here you have the island with the Sierra Tango November VOR on it. It means that the airport is in this low area down here. So we're now south of that. So we'll just, as soon as we reach the mountains here, we'll make a left or a right-hand turn heading north. Continue to descend to 2,000 feet. Shouldn't be much of a problem. The highest peaks straight in front of us. Of course, reduce the speed to 250. And then we'll fly the approach from the flight deck perspective. So let's start a right-hand turn heading north. Or 358 because the runway heading is 178. And as soon as we are at the same height of the airport, we'll start to reduce speed and descend further to 2,000 feet. That's the airport over there. Quite a desolated landscape below us. And here we start our descent to 2,000 feet. Reducing the speed to 240, 250 knots. So what we have to do in the meanwhile is open the pneumatic crossfeed valves, set the hydraulic pumps to high and on. We have to arm the speed brakes. I want medium auto brakes in there. So let's make a right turn heading 088 for our base leg. Reduce the speed to 20 knots. Let's reduce the speed further to 180. I think we'll fly from the flight deck perspective from now on. (2,000 feet). Flaps 1. Flaps 11. Oh, completely forgot to switch the starters system to off, but anyway. Flaps 15, speed 180. Let's reduce that further to 170. Let's see if we already have an, yeah, the localizer is now identified. Right turn heading 110, set VOR lock. Localizer is alive. Missed approach heading is 178. Missed approach altitude 2,000 feet is set. We are now over the localizer is 6 miles out, so let's Reduce the speed to 134. Gear down.
Autopilot.
Autopilot and auto throttle disengaged. Pilot has control. We are high, so let's start a descent, but we are with the runway in sight. 4 miles out.
1,000.
Flaps full. Auto brakes medium and armed. Just approach heading and altitude set. Runway is in sight. Correcting slightly to the left. Nose gear lights bright. Increase some thrust to reduce our rate of descent. We are slightly low.
Approaching 18.
Check, 18 is correct. Here we are on the glide path again, slightly reducing power to get that 700 feet per minute rate of descent.
500.
Check, 500 feet cleared.
400. 300. 200.
Cleared. Landing.
100. 50, 40, 30, 20, 10.
Reversers. Oof. Always have the nose gear bouncing in this airplane. Have to fly this more often. 80 knots, reverses idle, manual braking. I think the landing was a little bit too rough, but let's take a quick look at that from the outside perspective and then we'll call this a video. Yeah, flared a little bit too late. And the bounce on the nose gear isn't too pretty either. But anyway, we've made it safely. I hope the video gave you a good impression of what the ORBX True Earth Great Britain North scenery looks like. If you have any tips, tricks, comments, questions, requests whatsoever, please leave them in the comment section below. And I hope to see you all again another time on another video. So thank you for watching and bye bye.
On runway 24. On runway 24.